let me tell you my story with my shift in English. I started my career in Morocco 20 years ago, and it was in textile. I was working for a company, a very well-known company, Sib. We are making underwears. And at this time, we were speaking 100% with our stakeholders. Our customers were French. The guy who sold us the cotton was French speaking, etc. And so I never used English at this time. Then I worked for real estate. And also in real estate, 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, the Moroccan real estate developers were more European oriented. So we went to the SMAP, we went to the MAPI, to the MIPIM in Cannes, in Paris, etc. So my usual language of work was Arabic and French. And around 2010, I think I have been a patriot, and I wanted to serve my country. So I started my interest for public governance, public management. So I see the catalog of Sciences Po Paris for the contents, and I also had a look on the catalog of executive education program of two other schools, Hertie School in Berlin, and also Harvard Kennedy School at Cambridge. And the difference was huge because for me it was another way of thinking. So I started in Berlin. I have 2 or 3 executive programs in Berlin in English about campaigning, interaction between state, NGOs, and corporate rights, etc. So then I went to Harvard for an executive program in leadership, and it was amazing. It changed my life because after this executive program, I launched with a group of friends, Tizi, Charkaoui initiative, who invited us today. And then also we had an interest for new business, the business of leisure, FECs, Family Entertainment Centers. In Europe there is very few FECs, but there is thousands of FECs in the United States and Canada. So I had my first executive program in leisure, in Orlando, in English, and I discovered the American way of thinking, the mindset of the Anglo-Saxon. And I finished on your code, so from 2010-11 until now, all my interest on public leadership, public governance, creating public value, leadership, empowering youth, leisure, to come back to the quote of Noam Chomsky, the Moroccan way of, la manière d'être au monde. How can we speak English? The way of being, the Moroccan way of being is closest than the Anglo-Saxon way of being, than Latin way of being. So I feel as Moroccan, more close in the mindset, because I think we'll come back on the mindset. I closer to the Anglo-Saxon mindset than the Latin mindset.
Yeah, allow me to comment on this a little bit, because the way of being is super important in this conversation. I'm a few months away from publishing a book, and the book is called Being Other. And throughout this process, I've been asked why I'm writing it in English, and I've had fantastic conversations with the publishing house, which is a female-led publishing house. I mentioned it because it's important, and it was confirming a lot of the observations that I had made on how we in North Africa are kind of kept in almost encaged, sometimes in our own identity crisis, questions, which I find a fruitful, transformative experience if we ask the right questions and if we do so collectively. But then there's also the reality of these markets where these publishing houses will only push this type of content for this market, and that is limiting. And I'm very happy, and I'm relieved to see the super strong appetite and the awareness that the Moroccan youth has now to say, well, we want to partake in the global feast of innovation, of entrepreneurship, of co-creating the world together, and we want to do so at the same level and no less of a value than any other youth around the world. So our peers in the African continent, in the Southwest Asian, North African region, the global South in general, Latin America, and so on. And so I find that, yes, there is something that we find, a possibility that we find in English-speaking environments, because North America has been created with this influx of people coming from Europe, with its own traumas and its own tribulations and its own difficulties, but eventually they had to co-create ways of being together that were in acceptance. And so nowadays you have conversations around minorities, belonging, diversity in the workspace, in education, and so on. Europe is resisting massively. and I find that Moroccans, with our own richness, I mean, we are a patchwork of so many things. We're at the crossroad of so many influences. It's a massive richness. I mean, it will sound a little bit like I'm bragging here, but any context that I get to in a workspace that is international, or any party that is international as well, and I see Moroccan, and people are like, wow, so cool, you know? There is a very positive appetite and sentiment towards Morocco. So yes, investors want to come, but they need to be able to speak with people in the same language and with a similar mindset, so that it's fluid. It's good enough, it's fantastic to have a positive sentiment, and we have other fantastic leaders who have positioned Morocco on the map. I mean, Sir, and so on. They are quoting now in places like Harvard. I mean, they are doing business cases around that sort of leadership that arose from the experience, the Moroccan experience in the World Cup. It's no joke, it's real. And we need to embrace that possibility. We need to fully embrace that possibility. It doesn't mean canceling parts of our history, all the contrary. I mean, for me, anytime I'm in a new place, and now I'm in Portugal, and I'm thinking, I want to be able to speak with the Brazilians, so definitely want to learn Portuguese and Brazilian Portuguese, and I'm thinking of the business people in the Medina that speak so many languages, just be able to speak to their crowd. And show what Morocco is about, which is this hospitality, this place of, yes, you can be you and we can be together, and let's do something together. So I appreciate very much that it is a way of being, and there are massive transformations in the Moroccan society, and the decision that was made recently is only a reflection of that transformation. And of course, anxieties arise. Who are we becoming? But thankfully we're asking those questions. Who are we becoming? Who do we want to be in the future within this context and for the outside world?
The mindset in the public sector. In fact, when we see the story of Morocco, in the last century, the 20th century, we had, thanks to the French, a bureaucracy in Morocco. And bureaucracy is very important in the story of a state, because it brings standards, process, evaluation, etc. and so on. So bureaucracy in the 20th century was a good thing for Morocco. But in the 21st century, we have to go ahead with the public sector. You have new concepts like public value. In the economic field, we talk about creating value in by doing something to add something to a process. But creating public value, that means you can measure the performance, the KPIs for the civil servant are not the conformity of the process, but the KPI is what is the value you create, the public value you create, what is the satisfaction of the citizens you get with the work. So the mindset is different, and I would like to share the differences between two mindsets. The Anglo-Saxon mindset for the public sector and the Latin mindset. So we have in English, you say civil servant versus fonctionnaire. A civil servant is the guy or the woman who serve the public. You are here to help citizens in their life. Le fonctionnaire have to make a function. Tu dois faire une fonction. Tu dois faire un process. In the Anglo-Saxon mindset, your evaluation is based on citizen satisfaction. In the Latin mindset, it's more the respect of the process. Are you respecting the process? The process is the king. Or in the Anglo-Saxon mindset, what is the center is the citizenship. The citizen is at the center of the conception of the policies. In one hand, you say public manager, bureaucrats, public champions versus technocrats, meritocracy versus mediocrity. In the Latin mindset, you are more in looking for to respect the processes, not to empower people, empower the civil servants. So the mindsets are very different. What I mean by saying that the shift in Morocco is not a shift in the public sector, it's a shift in the mindset. And the biggest question is who can make the shift in the public sector to change the mindset? Because bureaucracy have mechanism of self-defense. Bureaucracy is trying by many ways to protect itself. So the change can happen from an initiative from politicians or monarchy. So if the monarchy of the politicians by the election decide to make a shift, a transformation, a revolution in the mindset of the administration, the Moroccan administration, to shift to an Anglo-Saxon mindset, we can have a change in all the way that the government, administration, the state have his relation with its citizens.
I have to say that we should acknowledge a very sad fact. In the private sector, when you know how to speak English but you don't know how to speak French, it is a limit. And we are not hiring people even if they speak really good English but not good French. No, you are, but I'm talking about a consultant financial perspective. I work in financial field and I know that like an investment banker or a consultant cannot be hired if they don't really speak French. And this is a very big limit in the private sector. So when we talk about measures, I think we should first acknowledge that French is playing a very big role in our economy and our also perspective of people. And that will lead me to the second thought. French gives you a social value in Morocco, and that's very sad. And I think it's very limited for
Thank you very much, Berrada, for your remark. I think the place of French is the elephant in the room. We have to talk about it. We all are Moroccans, we are Amazigh, we are Arabs, we have Hebraic roots, we have Andalus roots, we have Roman roots, and French. And the French culture is also a part of our identity. The question is, as a Moroccan, as patriot, do you want that French and French culture be a part of our past or our future? That's the issue. The issue is that we have to recognize the impact of French culture. We love the French of Voltaire and the Rousseau and of the Gaulle, etc., etc. And the French identity is also a part of the Moroccan identity. But now we have to make choices. We have 37 million Moroccans who are looking for jobs. They have to build families, to go ahead in their life, and to catch more opportunities in Morocco and abroad, the question is, must we keep and stuck on the French way of thinking or French administration, or must we open to new kind of administration, of new kind of way of thinking or way of being? That is the issue. And I think in this book, the Alami, I'm defending. I stand for a shift in the public culture in the Moroccan administration, to go towards more leadership, to give the right to mistake, to liberate, to free energies of the people working in the government to make choice for Morocco. So this conference, I think, and I wanted to thank you, Sophia, to organize this conference about such important issue for our future, is if we love Morocco, if we want that Morocco emerge, if we want to be one of the most growing country in the continent, we have to make choices. So the Anglo-Saxon mindset is, from my point of view, is a very, very important shift to make in our administration. We need Moroccan Leadership Institute to train thousands, hundreds and thousands of civil servants to the skills of leadership. That's the job of Asma and Berrada, because she will train also for Hanae in English, not in French. So we have to have the capacities to build this vision. So we need many academies, many institutes to inject or to share or to implement the leadership skills in the administration and the offices and the public agency and the government agencies. And the last initiative is to be a committed activist for leadership in public administration. That's why I wrote this book, which is a real milestones to implement leadership in public administration in Morocco. So I'm very committed on this topic. That's why I accepted the proposal of Asma to start a new startup, Moroccan Leadership Institute, and we are now working for a lot of Moroccan corporations to implement leadership programs in these companies. But we have no order, no interest from the public administration and the governmental agencies.